Right, I got 19 characters here, and I'm going to decide who of them would be OP in a Souls game. Now, it isn't about raw power, it's about patience, stamina management, learning through death, and not panic rolling yourself into oblivion or off the edge of the map. Now, this is completely nonsense, but we're going to see how we do. And please tell me where you would put some of these guys. What opinions of mine are nonsense. Feel free. But this is just 19 random. And yeah, see how it goes, eh? Starting to believe I've got both Kratoses here. I've got Kratos Norse and Kratos Greek. But first, that is Kratos Greek. Now, this version of Kratos is all rage and momentum. He attacks relentlessly, ignores defense, and overwhelms enemies through sheer aggression. Now, Souls bosses would bait him, punish him when he overcommits, and then he'd lose stamina. But like, this is the thing about Souls games, you keep coming back and keep trying again. Like, he would get through eventually, but painfully, and it would take a long time because he thinks he can overwhelm, but you can't really do that. You get punished. I'm going to put him in C tier. Yeah, see, this is where I'm being strict. He'd probably just off sheer, because of sheer strength, a lot of these guys, like Superman, is going to dominate. But I'm gonna think, read between the lines, and just to, hashtag controversial takes. Master Chief. Chief is tactical, but Souls strips away reloads, shields, and modern combat pacing. Adjusting to stamina-based melee and deliberate timing would be brutal. Once adapted, he'd be solid, but the learning curve would be rough, so for that exact same reason, I'm going to put him on C tier, below Kratos. I don't think that'd be OP. Like, C, they'd get through. Like, C's kind of that. They're going to get through eventually, but they're not OP. That's what the list. Who's OP in Souls games? Jon Snow. Jon Snow isn't exceptional in raw stats, but his instincts are strong. He survives through discipline, positioning, and learning from mistakes. In a Souls game, that's enough to finish the journey, even if it's not pretty. Now, I think that puts him slightly above. I think that's going to go B tier for Jon Snow. I feel Master Chief relies on technology. Kratos is far too angry. Jon Snow is a bit more level-headed. I think he'd get through quicker. Right. MCU Thor. That's specific. It's not Thor as a character, it's the MCU Thor. Now, this Thor would expect his durability to carry him, but Souls bosses punish endurance. Stamina drain, chip damage, and long encounters would slowly wear him down. He'd win early, but he would struggle hard late game. Very similar to Kratos. I'm going to put him above Kratos, but man, I'm not. We're going to stay there. Yep, staying there. Sekiro or the Wolf. Now, this one I was a little bit cheating with, because obviously Sekiro is a game made by From Software, by the same company that makes Souls. Wolf already lives in a world where death is a part of learning. He comes back over and over again. He's about perfect parries, posture management, precision combat. It's literally his entire skill set. He wouldn't just survive, I think he would dominate, because it's what he is. He is a Souls character. S tier. Legolas. Well, guess what? Guess what isn't good in Souls games? Bow builds. Bow builds suck. Of course, then you're going to look up the best guy in the world and be like, that's good. That's not what it means. Range dominance doesn't translate well into Souls games. Once forced into stamina management, close range spacing, and roll timing, he would struggle. I think. I don't care if he's an elf with all the poncy movement. I think he's getting mollywopped, just like Haldir at the top of Helm's Deep. C tier, and I'm going to put him below them, because Link. and I think that is specifically Breath of the Wild Link, kind of already lives in a Souls-adjacent Nightmare game. With few tutorials, brutal enemies, stamina constraints, and constant environmental danger, he understands retreating, resource management, and dying as a part of progress. I don't think he's S tier, but he would adapt well, he'd adapt fast, and he would thrive. Superman. Here we go. Controversy. Superman is not built for attrition. He's not used to learning through repeated failure or being punished for small mistakes. Souls games don't scale to power, they scale to discipline and patience through suffering, which is not only an unusual experience for him, he's Mr. Perfect, he never loses. Guess what? You'd be losing and you'd be upset about it, so D tier. The Hound, Game of Thrones. No destiny, no magic, just grit. The Hound would get destroyed early, but he wouldn't quit. He understands pain, spacing, and survival. He'd play Souls like someone who already expects the world to be unfair, which puts him ahead of most characters. I'm going to put him bottom A tier, because he's an exceptional warrior too. Aragorn. Aragorn is fundamentals incarnate. Clean swordplay, patience, positioning, and battlefield awareness. He would not panic roll, he wouldn't overextend, and he'd respect every enemy. He's not the flashiest, but Souls games love consistency, and he is consistent to a fault. I'm going to put him S tier. Now this is Norse Kratos. This Kratos is more disciplined. He's controlled, he's patient, he studies enemies, he manages stamina, he understands restraint. Once he locks in, he would become an absolute nightmare, and this is the version that is built for this game. He is S tier, and honestly, he's probably the top of S tier. Scarlet Witch. It's a cool picture. Incredible damage output. Almost no margin for error though. Souls bosses love punishing glass cannons, and one mistimed cast would end her run instantly. If she stays calmed and controlled, she deletes bosses. If she panics once, it's over, so I'm going to go B tier because of the potential. But man, I can't go higher than that. Ezio Auditore. Elite agility and timing. But Souls games punish greed harder than anything else. He'd dodge beautifully, land clean hits, then immediately go for one extra attack and get flattened. Stylish and effective at times, but I think he's too inconsistent under these rules. I'm going to go between Thor and Kratos in C tier. Geralt of Rivia. Now, Geralt feels a little like he was designed by From Software just on accident. He already fights monsters that can kill him in 2 hits. He studies enemies beforehand, he uses oils, potions, spacing, and rolls before even attacking. He wouldn't brute force any boss, he'd learn them. He would exploit their weaknesses, and he would win methodically. Pure Souls mentality, and I think he's going to be second in S tier for that reason. Goku. Goku is literally everything that Souls games punish. He face tanks damage because he's a knob, he relies on power strikes, and he enjoys letting enemies hit him just to see what happens. Souls bosses don't care about that mindset. He would underestimate early enemies, refuse to dodge, and get stamina checked into oblivion until he learns restraint, which is not his strong suit. D, even below Superman. And I love Goku, but man, sometimes they just don't work. Ahsoka Tano. She has elite reflexes and awareness, but Souls games punish confidence. If she respects the system, she thrives. If she assumes her skill alone can carry her, she's going to get roll caught repeatedly. I feel it's high ceiling, high risk, similar to Scarlet Witch, but I'm going to put her just slightly above because she's a little bit more emotionally stable than Wanda, sadly. Anakin Skywalker. Well, Anakin is incredibly skilled, but emotionally volatile. And Souls games feast on impatience. One greedy combo, one angry push forward, and he would get punished so hard. If he keeps his emotions in check, he's dangerous. If not, he's dying a lot, and that's going to just, snowball. He's going to be bottom of C tier. Deadpool. I think Deadpool would intentionally die just to test mechanics. He'd experiment, he'd break systems, and he'd mess around. But eventually he'd win. But he'd win in the most inefficient and chaotic way imaginable. Souls would hate him, but he would persist. Bottom of B tier. Now, Batman. One thing straight off the bat, no prep time. Batman would get humbled immediately, but that's why he'd succeed. Because in Souls, you die and you come back. He would die, he would analyze why, and he would come back clean at every single attempt. By the 5th try, he's probably perfectly dodging and baiting attacks like a veteran player. I'm going to say he's absolute top of A tier for that. And I'm not a Batman guy, but I just think his exact mindset would work well in a die repeat system. Anyway, that's just a quick wee fun one. I thought maybe if you've got any other characters, I could do a part 2, because that's a really fun idea. I quite enjoyed that. And that was just 19 characters that just came to mind. I was just chucked them in there, quite popular ones. But anyway, please tell me what you thought of that. If I should do more like that, because I thought that was fun. Yeah, see you next time.